All right, y'all. We got week number 4 of the New England Cartel series. Can't thank them enough for the experience they gave us. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to put out the material that we got for y'all. It was fucking awesome. It was amazing, and I can't wait for y'all to check out what we got.
Young fighters that look up to him, they kind of like want to
Look at my abs usually.
Yeah.
I just want to take my shirt off and so the world knows.
I did notice as soon as they said picture you immediately.
I really take my shirt immediately, right away.
I think it's like perception is reality, and it's almost like an accountability thing, like where you get the pictures in, and then people are like, all right, they're working, you know, and it's kind of like, and then they do have fans that like want to kind of see what they're doing. They're like, oh, you sparred on Saturdays, and then young fighters that look up to them, they kind of like want to model what they're doing. So.
Right.
I feel like that's a big one. It's like, because I wasn't at practice this week because I kind of hurt my collarbone. And like seeing them train, I'm like, God damn it, I wish I was there to go train.
Right,
you know? So,
right.
But we don't do it every single time. We just like...
If I have a good training session or something like that, or there's some people there that are not always there and they happen to be there that day, that's when I try to get there. I'm like, oh, we had a good group today. And so I always try to get a picture. And for me, it's also like a what's it called? Like... history, like writing down everybody I've been training with, because I look back at those photos all the time to see who I was training at certain different times.
We have photos from Washington
from 4 or 5 years ago, right? I think it's five years ago now.
To look back,
right?
I see me. I'm like, Black. Look at my little
Yesterday we were talking about recovery and like working out and running and all that's so therapeutic for me. It's like there's days where I know I'd get stronger, bigger, faster, whatever if I rested, but I still, for mental health wise, I kind of need it, so I do it. But we were talking about like you were just saying, you see them training and you're not, and so like I'd take a rest day from running, and then I'm driving through downtown Austin and I see all these people running and I'm like, fuck man, I'm getting weak right now, they're getting faster than me, and it just fucks with my head. So it's cool to hear it's the same thing for you. So you guys have known each other quite a while. Yeah. Right?
I think it's been 5 years now.
I think 5 years.
Yeah, so, 2018 we met.
So how did that happen? How did you guys first come in contact?
We were both stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington. And then, fuck man, I was like, I remember
you were an Army Ranger?
I was an Army Ranger, but I fucking hated my life. Like, I remember like I hated my life. I wasn't training. And like I took this long break.
Can I brag about you real quick? So he's an Army Ranger. All right, first of all, he went through selection. He joined the military to do Special Forces. Mm-hmm. Made it through all the training, but didn't get selected for Special Forces. So he already went through all the hardships of that portion. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So then they reclassed him to be an Army Ranger. So then you have to go through RASP, which is another hard Ranger school thing. He went through that. Hard training for that. Then they classed him as a chef. Yeah, instead of getting, so he went through all this, like, probably, I don't know how long that took, probably multiple years, because he wanted to, do badass shit.
Right.
And I'm not just saying this, Carlos is probably one of the toughest people I know. Hands down, toughest cat I know. Seriously. And that goes from Special Forces background, fighting background. Like, he's a 125-pound fighter, and I see him destroying and just bringing guys into, his thing is just to bring people into deep water and just to drown them. That's the kind of fighter he is. And then you went to Ranger School, which is a whole nother school you have to go to. You get your Ranger tag, which just emaciate. By the time you get to, because I used to see that when I was down in Florida in Hobo Field. We used to run that airfield that's right outside of where you guys finish up your swamp phase. And you'd see those guys come out of the swamp phase and they're just emaciated, just like all messed up from how hard and how long they're training. So you went through that. It's just like the amount of training this kid went through in the Army, and then, they kind of screwed you over. You know what I mean? And if he stuck through it, and then he always has a positive attitude about shit. So it's like, that's one thing I could just like vouch for him. The kid is that he went through hard ass training, but unfortunately just didn't get to do the job that he was supposed to do. I feel like, he's tougher than a lot of guys I know that made it and went through special operations, mentally and smarter too. Now he's getting a degree. And what are you getting a degree in?
Computer science.
He's going to college full time. And fighting full time?
Dude, if you're doing that, why did you go in the military? I went in the military because I didn't want to go to school, but little did I know to ever be anything in the military, you go to school.
I was a fucking jackass when I was like a kid, when I was 17, because I went to school, and I wrestled. I had a scholarship for wrestling, but I was just like, I never had anyone that, like, in my family that went to college or anything like that. Okay. So, like me going to college, like, I had this freedom. I never had any accountability as like a kid for school, and then I was like, I just fucked off, Right. So I was really smart, and I was like, oh, I could just not show up to class, do my test, and I'll do great, and then I didn't do great, and then I went to the military, and then I started in the Guard. I was a medic in the Guard. Then I went active duty, and then I went to go to the Special Forces pipeline. I didn't get selected, and then they reclassed me, and then I was like, "Fuck, I don't want to go to regular Army." And then I got an opportunity to go to RAS. So then I went to Ranger Assessment and Selection. I passed that, and then I was in Ranger Battalion as a cook, and then I was like, "Fuck, I need to get the fuck out of here and not cook." I was like, "Send me to Ranger School," and then I did great. I'm like because you had to try out to go to Ranger School. I fucking killed it, and then so like I was in battalion for like a month, and they sent me to Ranger School, and then so like I went to Ranger School, so I didn't have to cook. But then I got back and I hated my life, and then so then I got back to battalion. I hated my life. I was like, fuck this, like I'm doing shit like I really, really hate. And I was like, I need to find something. And I did jiu-jitsu my whole life. And like I've been doing all this training and like for the military, but I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu for like a hot minute. And I was like, I just found a jiu-jitsu gym like that was right outside of base. Boom, I met Connor.
I remember the first day.
You guys are different branches too, which normally aren't. That's about the only thing that would bring you guys together like that.
Well, yeah, and I remember the first day he came in, and I was mostly a striker before I did jiu-jitsu. I grew up doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I had a couple MMA fights. I had like three or four MMA fights. I did kickboxing fights. I did Muay Thai fights, and then this is right when I got back from Afghanistan. Did you meet me after Afghanistan? So this is when I really started taking in my training a lot. I was training with Micah, and I remember the day he came in because I was just like, oh, this kid came in with like cauliflower ears, and he just started talking to me like, oh yeah, we should train, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right. I was like, this guy's. I think we stood striking the first day. That was it. I was like, oh, he's okay. But then we grappled, and he fucked me up. just mopped the floor with me, and I was like, oh, this guy's really good. So then that's where I kind of like, me and him just started. You weren't a black belt yet. I think you're brown. You're a brown belt.
Yeah, I was brown.
Brown belt. So we started really like training together. You started teaching classes there, and it was like, it was really cool. We got built this like little symbiotic relationship where I try to like help him with striking a little bit as much as I could. We still had Micah, who was really our main coach, was a phenomenal coach. And we just bounced it back out, and we trained in the garage all the time. Mostly, me and Carlos always say this. We always usually train until one of us get hurt.
Yeah,
that's how we go.
Let me ask, and no slight to anybody else on your team, but do you notice a difference with these guys coming from like high level military stuff, and do you notice a difference with the way they train, act, carry themselves, anything?
I think obviously they carry themselves in a more professional manner just because that's what they were kind of trained to do. But I think the bigger thing, because they've seen some real world stuff, they've seen what actual problems are. Like when you're only in this little bubble, everything starts to feel like it's a real problem. Yeah. Until you face real problems. Right. So I think one thing I kind of said this to you the other day is like, they do have that appreciation. They're like, no, we get to be here. They have that different perspective of like, they actually get to be here. They get to do this. They don't have to do this. So they like a better appreciation.
I understand exactly, military-wise, yes, but like we were saying about like real-life problems and stuff, and unfortunately, military wasn't enough for me, so I had to go down this dark road and put myself through countless other hardships and stuff like that. But then coming out and getting into running like the way that I did and running some of these races, it taught me so much about myself. And it's like what I went through, like running this 100-mile race for the first time or anything like that, there was portions of that where really almost anything you throw at me at life, it's like, if I've made it through that, I know I can make it through this. You know what I mean? And so it's so valuable. Like, and that's what kind of scares me about the world today. It's like, are people really experiencing the hardships to build that character, or are they not?
And I feel like I look at where I like relate the military to helping me with what we're doing now is like I spent a lot of time on team. Yeah, so I look as Tyson as like the general of our thing, and then you have Robin Calvin would be like our high enlisted personnel, like our chiefs, right? And then you have like me and Carlos who are like that in between, like not the top yet, but we're right underneath them, and we're like a sergeant, and we're trying to make sure that like we put a good example out there for the young kids that are coming up by showing up, working hard. Like Carlos is like in practice, like pushing people like really, really hard. So it's like, I just feel like that's I feel like that's the way I relate that to where we came from to what I'm doing now. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. What aspect of like your military career, like what does that translate to you when it comes to your training, your fighting mindset,
For sure. I think
mental fortitude, all that?
yeah, like what you said is like when I feel like through certain trainings I've done in the military, and honestly even through certain like martial arts I've done, I feel like I lived a longer life, like, and it's funny because like when you're saying like you're running and you're like you learn some shit about yourself, like sometimes like I get into this place in my head of like when I was like in ranger school, or when I was like deep into like a hard workout, like breaking myself, like sometimes I feel like I'm learning some shit, and like I'm living a different life.
Yeah.
So like when you said that, like I really feel that, man. But like with the military specifically with training, I feel like I felt what like a real brotherhood is, and like I know like what it means to be a leader, and then I feel like a lot of people in most environments don't know that. Like no one's ever had someone that's like will literally like give their soul for you, and like that's what I try to give to like the guys like at training is like I want to give my soul to these guys. Yeah. And it might seem like at points where like it might seem like I might be beating you up a little bit, but like because at like when you're fighting, someone's gonna be trying to beat you up, and but like I try to beat you up in a safer way,
in a controlled manner instead of getting on there,
and energy, like I feel like energy is so important because like if you have that radiant energy of like let's push, then like people are gonna feed off of that. But if you have that energy of like
there's so
like
many,
positivity, breeds
so many jokes I can come up with right now.
and all sorts of things is positivity breeds positivity, negativity. So like if you're a higher up guy in the team and you show that weakness in any athlete in training or whatever, that shit's gonna spread fast. You know what I mean? You're setting an example for the younger guys. I think that's okay, and that's just a whole nother problem that is not conducive of where we want to go with the team.
Right.
So it's up to us to kind of like put forward and put on that energy, or at least match it, you know what I mean, as much as possible.
I think just for sure, just like having like that teamwork, like knowing what like a team, an actual team is, because like I've been to like even in the military, man, like you've been in like units where you're like, man, this is fucking toxic. Like, this shit sucks. Yeah, like I've been in gyms that were like, fuck, this is a gym and this is supposed to be like my safe place, but this shit is like it's not a good training environment. But like, here it's like it's different. Like there's guys who like want like they have this goal, and like I have this goal also, and we're like, I feel like me like I'm new to the team, like I'm pretty new, but like I love like it just reminds me so much of like honestly being in the Ranger Battalion. Like even though I hated my job, I loved the guys I worked with. Right. Because like those guys will give your soul for you. That's what I want to give back. So.
That's what I miss. I try to explain it to people that aren't in the military. That it's so hard, but it's like the military is the only thing I ever experienced. Is we could go for a training weekend and like we can walk out of that weekend, but we went through so much in that one weekend where you're like, you're my brother for life now. Yeah. And like I miss that in the world, and I think in the military I didn't realize how special it was to me, but now I watch the movie The Covenant or Top Gun, and you see the sacrifice people are willing to make for their brother or sister, dude. And it, like, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but I'll get super emotional. I'll just start, but it's like, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wish everybody could feel that and experience that. And so it's cool that you guys went to the one other place, where there's not many other places where you're going to be able to find that, but MMA, being on a team like that.
We were talking about this earlier, but like today, like Calvin and Tom are sparring to help. Calvin's getting ready for Aljamain Sterling, and Calvin and Tom was like getting mad. Well, I like we're thinking, he's getting mad because he's getting hit. No, he's getting mad because he felt like he wasn't giving Calvin good enough work. Yeah. And like that's a crazy mentality. Yeah. Like from the outside, like I don't know like any other people in other parts of society that have that kind of mentality. Right. So that's pretty cool.
I got to witness that. That's something I would never get to see, but you guys let me film up there, and so to get that bird's eye view on that and see that, like it's special. Yeah. It's cool. Very cool. What I don't want to get controversial, but like how do you guys feel about everything going on in the world right now?
And there's a lot going on. I think this is it's been a crazy year, man. Like, I still have a lot of connections to my buddies in the military, you know what I mean, at all levels, right? And I'm hearing the training and all the stuff they're doing, and it just doesn't look like it's good. You know, it looks like it's going into a bad area. So like it looks like World War III is on the freaking horizon, man. That's like that. It's the only way to see it. You know, it is. You know what I mean? There's such crazy stuff going on, and you know, there's nothing we can do to really control that. We talk about control the controllables, and the only thing I could really do is, you know, focus on what we're doing, and hopefully the stuff that we do brings. And that sounds sick, but like brings happiness to people because people like watching fights. People can get behind sports. People can get behind fighters. People can get behind what we're doing, and it gives people a little bit of a break from all the shitty stuff that's going on in the world right now.
Right. That's why I do the podcast. Try to put some positivity on the world. Try to inspire some people. I was on another podcast recently, and they had asked me the question kind of similar to that, and I said, the one thing I wish I could see is I wish there was just more support for America from us, because this whole divisiveness of like, let's tear down whoever the president is because he's not on our side, or these people because they don't believe in what I believe in. Like, when tragedy happens, 9/11, we see the way people rally around each other. Nobody gives a shit what color you are, what sex, anything like that. And it's just about being an American. And I don't want anything bad to happen, like God forbid. But like something needs to happen to like rally that again.
Like for us, like how many ethnicities do we have in the team? We have everything, and nobody. I don't hear a conversation ever about anybody.
Guys, girls, positive gay guys.
Positive gay guys.
Connor.
No, we have minorities, guys.
And it's not even a thing that we even think about at all. And that's what I think that I think honestly, I really do believe this, that most of the country is like that. Most of everybody is not going out there looking to not get along with people and whatever it is. But people want to highlight it. The extremes on each end just want to highlight it to cause a problem for whatever reason they're trying to do. Something's going on in this country where they're trying to rip it apart. I don't know if it's freaking Russian farm bots or whatever the hell it is, or algorithms on social media. Well, who knows what it is? But I feel like if you really talk to people day in and day out, most people get along with everybody.
Hands down.
But look at it this way, like, and I won't say any names, but we all have like certain friends on Facebook, right? That are like, they're all right guys, but they just like say stupid stuff all the time because they want that attention, they want that feedback, they want to be like, I won't say names, but like you can think of that person, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have like 5,000 friends on Facebook, but if I say like, hey, who like posts on Facebook posts, you're gonna remember that guy.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like a good like analogy for how the world is. Like you might pass 99 great people, but because they're not complaining about something, it's not memorable. It doesn't stand out. It's just they're acting how they should be. So it's not, the pattern recognition doesn't like go off. You're just like, oh, this is normal. I don't have to note that. But then the one person that's chirping just to be heard, you remember that. And then so it starts to feel like everybody's complaining.
Right.
Yeah. But the reality is, like, I think most people, like a lot of these woke issues that are going on and stuff like that, I don't think we're in the one sport that like we can kind of speak our mind and we're not going to get canceled.
Right.
Shawn Strickland was a perfect example of that. Like, you can pretty much say whatever you want in our sport, and like the UFC is not going to like silence you. So I think we're fortunate for that. But I think also like that's leading, and I think bleeding over into other sports, because I think other athletes are starting to see like, oh, okay, like this sport can do it, maybe we can too, and then you start to see it like. It's the pendulum's coming back the other way.
That's what I think too. I think we hit a crazy extreme, and I think everybody's like, "Hold on," you know what I mean? What the hell's going on right now? It's like chill the hell out, and I feel like it's just gonna start going back the other way.
Right. Dude, your office is absolutely amazing. Do you have one piece in here that is you hold near like the most special?
Feel me?
The samurai sword.
No,
your Naga samurai.
I love this.
That's Jerry's.
Oh, is it?
Jerry's polar bear.
I too.
Did you win that?
I'm the king of the games.
Oh my god!
So when I first started training with like the guys like Rob was just like a young amateur. I was like a lot better than him because I was more experienced. Okay. I used to beat him up, and then Rob got way better than me. Mm-hmm. So it's like I can't beat him in fighting anymore. But I take extreme pride in the fact that I can beat him in things that do not make you important, successful, or accomplished. And this is like ESPN was with us filming like a 3-day shoot for the Cody Garbrandt camp. So they called K1 Speed and they're like, listen, we want to get like Rob, Calvin, Tyson, and Rob's girl went with Catherine. We're going to just get them to ride go-karts. So they did like 3 or 4 races of like the time trials, and we had the final race. And your boy
I don't know, T.
Seal the deal.
First,
The last time we might have to do that again because the last 2 times I've gone to K1 racing, first place.
Yeah, I always do. And so it's just a reminder that we go axe throwing, I win. We go bowling, I win. We do this, I win. So I think this is like my competitive days are over, except for as a coach.
Yeah.
But like I spend so much time with these guys, so whenever I can beat them in something,
Right.
it's kind of nice.
It's nice to rub.
But no, I mean that's awesome. And that made the ESPN.
Did it?
It showed me jumping on the podium, getting them.
Wow.
Did it really?
Yeah, though I think so. I have like there's a lot of posters that I have like in these tubes that aren't hung up yet. But the reason these 3 are hung up is that was my first ever UFC fight. It was with Rob, UFC 175. My first time ever cornering a UFC fight. That was like a big bucket list thing for me. Like my wife will always say, I remember when you just said like how cool would it be to get one guy to the UFC.
Right.
And we won against a formerly ranked guy, got a bonus. That was great. And then that one over there, and I always thought like, man, these guys travel around the world. Some of these coaches go everywhere. That was my first time leaving the country to corner a fighter. I went to Brazil.
Was Brazil wild?
It was crazy. So that was my first time going to national. And then like, as you're in the UFC, you're like, man, it'd be so cool to be on the poster. It'd be so cool to be a main event. And that was my first main event as a coach. We went to go to Russia. We had the Rocky story, except for we lost. We went to Russia, fought Zabit, lost the first 2 rounds, won the 3rd round, and Zabit has never fought since.
I helped out Calvin for that one.
Yeah,
sparring round.
Yeah. We did fine for that. And
What
then,
what happened? I mean, he just quit, retired?
I think we beat him up too much.
Oh, really?
Then he just made him feel like he didn't want to fight anymore. Like we beat him out of fighting. Like,
I think that so he chose 3 rounds for that fight. It was a main event, so that means usually a main event is a 5-round fight. Like he didn't want to do 5. He wanted to do 3 rounds for that fight, and he was slowing down in the 3rd round. I think Calvin won the 3rd round. Zabit won the first 2. So if there was a 5-round fight,
almost definitely.
Yeah.
Towards
So-
Is that like the only time they let a main event go be 3
No,
rounds?
it was it was like 3 weeks out from the fight. They changed it to the main event because the main event fell through.
All right.
And they're like, all right, so no, their side decided they wanted to keep it 3 rounds. So
I see.
he didn't do anything wrong. It was just they were smart, you know. I think they knew Zabit wasn't like a 5-round guy, and we were pretty tough that he's gonna have to go 5 rounds with us. So yeah, so that's why I get that one hung up. But other than that, you know, and then the pictures, that was a cool walkout. That's when Calvin cracked the top 10 against Ricardo Lamas on the walkout. This right here, UFC 213, Rob beat De Silva, and that was kind of like he bonus on that one. That was a big one. That was like a big moment for us. Like he beat like a guy who was like 22-1 or something like that. It was a big deal. And then the one on the left over there, that was like Rob coming back off a year layoff. The bottom left one after he beat Yanez. And I like that one only because
That's a fun one.
me and Jake banter a lot. He's our Muay Thai coach. And we started at the same place at the same time. And you see he's not in the picture. I looked at I was on the thing. Jake he's out of frame, but Jake also, when he does get up there,
Yeah.
not as experienced as me as a coach, he has a cut on his forehead and he's bleeding because when the win happened, he went, yes, and headbutted the...
I think he went like
God,
this. He
what a-
missed, and the more time he missed the table and went.
headbutted the corner of the stage, and then after that, we're like, he's like, whose blood is this? Whose blood is this? We're like, it's your blood. So I got that one. That was a big like, honestly, because Rob's like my first baby. He's the first guy I got in the UFC. I've been with him the longest. So for him to have that tough run, you know, lose to Cheeto, and then we took the year off, and him to come back against a guy who was supposed to kill us on a big card in Miami last April, and come back and get that win in the first round. That was just a big one for us. And then the other one is open workout in Mall of America in Minneapolis. They had a UFC Minneapolis. I called Tony Martin for that, and so I held mitts for him in like the lobby or one of the lobbies of Mall of America, which I just thought was cool because like. You can always hear about Mall of America. You go, yeah, dude, I'm freaking fire underneath. So we did the open workout there. I just thought that was like a cool picture that they got with like all the stuff behind you.
Yeah.
So
It's funny. Like, I mean, you guys are obviously used to being in arenas with all these people, but that's still so special to have all these people on the railing looking down in the mall at you guys doing that.
yeah,
Man, my life, like what it is today, what I do, you know, working with addicts and kind of in the fitness industry and stuff like that. It's the first time in my life it's like I'm doing what I'm meant to do, and as long as that's helping people, then that's what I need to be doing, and that's what I think I was put here to do. You guys, obviously, I'm sure are pretty much living your dream, but hypothetically speaking, MMA didn't exist. What do you think you'd be doing?
Does martial arts exist? Or UFC? If UFC doesn't exist?
Yeah.
If UFC doesn't exist, I always say that I'm still training martial arts because that's how much I love. My passion became my job. I'd still be training martial arts every single day and hopefully trying to teach and run a gym or something like that. That would be my goal. But if I had to get a job, I'd probably still be in the military, still doing that job.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely be teaching jiu-jitsu.
You got a girlfriend now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm gonna put you down. I'm actually deathly allergic to cats.
Like I'm not.
You are?
Yeah, I am, so it's okay.
Like I don't love. Like I don't like teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't like teaching jiu-jitsu or teaching, but I think it's really like I like helping people.
Yeah.
So I would be doing something like, you know, like I like coaching because I'm helping people, and I feel like I'm okay at it, and I feel like I'm like, decent leadership skills. So I feel like I fell into that role. But I think if martial arts didn't exist, I wasn't doing this. I would be doing something else with helping the people. I'd probably be coaching all my kids' sports, and just be like just helping. And
Right.
I feel like, you know, certain people like love getting gifts,
Yeah.
and certain people love giving gifts.
Yeah.
I'm the one that likes to give people something. I feel better about that than I do about getting something. I get more excited about like making someone happy than getting what I want. So I feel like that is kind of getting what I want, which is maybe
Selfish. So you're selfish.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, helping people, it's, you know, I said all the time I didn't know a world exists where I could take all this pain and bullshit that I've been through and use it to help people. But it's changed my life so much, and I watch it change, like these bottom of the barrel drug addicts or people with some mental health issues, all these things, and they start getting outside of themselves, stop being selfish, and start helping people, and it transforms their life. And I just wish everybody could like get a piece of that or take that on and do that, because it's life changing.
I think that I'm starting to feel that with my gym and the mom's basement thing. It's like I get that vibe 100%. It's just like I really enjoy like having people come in here and just like, you know, if that's their escape from whatever they're doing in their life and that day, you know what I mean? Especially on Sundays, and they try to bring like veterans or anybody else wants to come in for that hour and just have a good time.
Right.
Like, there's nothing better than that.
Right.
Honestly, it's better than pain. I always leave like a good training session that's like a fun training session, not like when we train during the week. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's work. You know what I mean? We're there for like, you know, to prep to get ready for big things. I think sometimes I like to have those days of training where I'm just like. Just having a good time, maybe spreading knowledge, helping out new guys, you know, helping guys as much as I can. And that's really, for me, is like been awesome.
Right.
You know what I mean? Building that little community.
Right. So I had originally heard that his gym's called the Mom's Basement. I'm like, oh, cool. It's kind of like Eminem's like Mom's Spaghetti, like he has a little restaurant or whatever. I'm like, that's a dope name for the gym. And then I found out, through Nico, he's like, no, it's actually Mom's Basement. I was like, no fucking shit. We're really going to his basement, dude. And to sit there and watch him teach class last night and watch the way the guys retain everything and ask questions, it's like, man, that's cool shit.
Yeah.
I think it's like kind of like how you find enjoyment from like seeing someone go from like bottom of the barrel to like giving back. I think I find that like with coaching, and that's probably what you find too, is like I like the development, you know, like I like to see like someone like grow.
Yep.
Like, and I teach a lot of kids. Someone like when I see like a kid have like a breakthrough moment, and I'm sure you see it with like veterans, which I'm sure it's even more fulfilling that way. But like I love when like a kid like finds a passion, you know, that's what I love. Right. So I think that's why I love coaching so much, because I like seeing that spark in people. Yeah, you know,
which is cool with Carlos. Like Carlos is teaching at the gym that I grew up in. So the martial arts group that it's Lakeville MMA. My sensei was that guy I was talking about who got me into fighting, John Mirando. So when Carlos moved out here, I basically tell Sensei about him. Like, he's a black belt. He could teach, you know, actually promote people underneath him. So I got him a job teaching at Sensei's school. So like now it's really cool because I went out to Washington, met him out there randomly, right? Just a guy in the gym, and, you know, and he helped me out. And then we moved back to the East Coast. Now he's teaching at the gym that I started out.
That is pretty cool.
And I know, like,
really cool.
So the one thing about my sensei that I grew up with is he's really, really good at building a really strong mentality. It's like maybe the technique and the technical stuff is not there, but he creates really good character in kids. Like, every single kid in this gym have awesome character. You can even say that. You can see it in the way they fight. When they grow up and they fight, they are like that same tough, hard-nosed kind of fighters. And, you know, a lot of passion. They never give up. They never quit. And so with his mentality and Carlos's technique, with those two together, I think they're just going to be, in the future, these kids are going to be so good.
Right.
Yeah.
When I got certified to be a personal trainer, like, number one, I did it for me at first. Like, I just wanted to do another stuff for me so I know I could go in the gym and be the best I could be at it. But then I started working with people, and, you know, it's special because I'm working with a lot of addicts, and it made me learn stuff so much better being able to teach it to them. You know what I mean? I started seeing, like, oh, I think I might do that sometimes with my elbow when I'm doing a dumbbell row or whatever. But, you know, you have them, wonder if you have the same, but you have those certain students, like, not everybody gets it, you know what I mean? And like something, the gym I'm so passionate about, and then when I catch a client that I watch become so passionate about it, and I have this one client, his name was Steven, and you know, bigger guy, just super quiet, just like lived in a shell, and but just nice dude. He was funny and everything once you get him to open up, but that dude would be early to every session. I'd take him to his workout. He'd stay an hour afterwards. He'd go through every exercise I just taught him, try to perfect the form. Then he'd go up and do his cardio. I watched him drop weight. I watched him get a job. I watched him get an amazing woman in his life. Now I see him on Instagram. They're traveling the world doing all that. And it's like that right there. Like, this is why I do what I do. Yeah. Like, to watch that. And so I'm sure you have students. You have each one of you guys has to have those too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love seeing those. And it's like, you don't just get one, like, happy moment. You get, like, over and over.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so awesome about coaching, is that you find those moments all the time. And
Tyson's probably
I love
the
it.
most.
Tyson, I mean, he's literally making
changing lives, putting people in the changed my life. You know what I mean?
It's like, put money on anything. Like, you know, when you attach money to anything, it makes things different.
Yeah,
you know, like, you can be passionate about something, but the minute there's like bills to pay and expectations and money owed, it changes the dynamic of everything. So it takes like the pureness out of it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's,
So I like Mama's Basement.
it adds like, it almost like, I love those rewarding moments, but then like when you get those breakthroughs, you see your fighter buy a house, and you know, like, I was part of a lot of those decisions. Like, I was part of that. That's awesome. But then like, it's not as like pure as that anymore. It's like, there's a part of it is like, oh yeah, I got the house, but like, I could have got a bigger house, you know? Like, it's just like human nature kind of creeps into your passions, and then it's not as, like, I think when some money's involved, it's not as pure. That's why I love like working with the amateurs. That's still like people are like, oh, how do you get hyped up? Like, we're going to go to the fights tonight. I'm going to corner 2 amateurs and 2 pros. It's like almost more fun cornering the pros because they're so excited about like overcoming that fear. They check that box.
The amateurs or the pros?
The amateurs.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, like it's like when you see that first client like break back into the 200s or back into the one, you know, whatever it is. And like you get that early success. But then all of a sudden when they're walking around 2 years later with a 6-pack and they're ripped and they got a bunch of Instagram followers and they're like, yo, Shawn, like, why am I not leveling up anymore? Like, where's the improvements?
Right.
You know, like, it's almost like the expectations, like what you did before, it doesn't matter. Like, what are you going to do for me now?
Right.
But with the amateurs, you don't have that. You have the guy losing weight. You have him now, he's finding a girlfriend. He's all happy. Shawn, you're the man. You know, like that journey.
Right.
Like other coaches explain to me, is like when you're on the up, it's fucking, everything's gravy. It's awesome, you know? But then when you get there and there's real money involved, then it becomes like there's defined roles. It's a business now. It's a livelihood, and it changes the pureness of it. So like, you know, and that the stress of a UFC fight, the weight that like you feel, and you guys feel it as teammates. So when these guys lose, when these guys are making good money in the MMA world and they lose that fight, it's like you're gonna fight and
It's $100,000 difference.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's a decision that
figure difference, you know,
and 15
like, and
minutes.
sometimes high hexes, right? So like they're gonna come home with 1 car or 2, a real nice cars, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, so that's, and you feel that. You wear the weight of it. It's not necessarily the fighter putting that on me. It's like I put that on myself. It's like, I feel like, damn it, like they didn't get that. They didn't get that. It's never about like what I'm getting for money. It's like, I feel the lost opportunity for them to have that extra $150K or whatever it is in their bank account. Plus, with that win comes a bigger payday on the other side on the next fight and a bigger opportunity. So it's like, so tonight's like tonight where you get to go and like work with those amateurs that have like 1 or 2 fights, and like you maybe do 5% for them what you're doing for these other guys, but the amount of appreciation that comes back your way and the amount of excitement that you see and the impact that night has on their lives, even if they never fight again,
Right.
it has on their life, you feel that, you know, and it's like that's rewarding. Like you said, like when you have those kids with those breakthrough moments and stuff like that, like I haven't lost that, you know, like, and I think when I lose that, like I'll probably just, you know, I won't coach anymore.
You're done.
But like I freaking be excited about that.
Yeah, I get it.
To go corner for guys, you know.
Yeah.
It is special when you see like someone like a moment change someone's life. I think that's what like amateurs like. I'm thinking of Freddie because I could see him pacing back and forth.
Frantic Freddy, man.
It's Frantic Freddy.
He's fighting tonight. He'll defend his amateur title. He's fighting an All-American wrestler. Very tough fight. He has all the skills to win it. He gets very nervous before fights. He's like, call him Frantic Freddy. Yeah. He's nervous all the time. If he was sitting here right now, he'd be like, he's just like gets anxious.
Like if you like once you tell him he has like a fight, like hey, you're scheduled a fight, he start pacing around the room. It's like back and forth. Like he just always it's like, you know, it's everybody kind of deals with their stress of fighting differently, but he's just.
That sounds like every day I spent in the military pacing my barracks room where I was gonna get piss tested that day. Dude, when we were in Iraq, I got the largest military installation in Iraq, Camp Taji, shut down on painkillers.
Really?
Everybody in the army knew it was me too, because I'd hurt my back, and they'd, you know, first time we were gonna let me deploy, so I had to mask it, and just so I could still deploy. And so I go. It was probably a bad decision. So I go, and they're starting to give me Percocets over there, and so I go in, and we're on Camp Taji, and Fulberg Colonel, and so he's gonna send me over to the green zone to get some steroid shots and get that. So he writes me a script for 30 Percocets, and then they send me off on a Black Hawk. Land in the green zone. First thing I do as soon as I get there is walk into the emergency room and tell them that I'm in pain. That they write me another script for 30 pills. Then I think I'm there for like 2 days, and I go see a major who's the doctor, and he writes me a script for 90 Percocets. By the next morning, every single Percocet that I've gotten in these past couple of days is already gone. And so then I turned around and tried to go back in and say that somebody had stole my Percocets because they didn't have lockers, they had just cubbies.
Taking them? Like,
Yeah. Oh, I'm an addict, like an addict for real. Like palmfuls. These are like Perc 5. Nothing.
Hail, bitch. Yeah, bro.
I should feel that.
I should stand out like a leg. I'm like Drake over here. Like,
No, I don't. I never had that switch.
Yeah.
The way I describe it to people is as normal as it is for you guys to wake up and brush their teeth in the morning. That's as normal as it was for me to stick a needle on my arm. I never had any thing in there that was like, oh, this is fucked up. I probably shouldn't be doing this.
That's crazy.
Oddly enough, the rare occasion, I was never a big weed guy because it didn't get me where I wanted to get.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, the occasional times I would smoke weed will be the only time my brain would get rational. I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm sticking needles in my body.
Well, probably at the time, you're probably like, weed makes you too paranoid.
So I go in there, I say that they stole my Percocets and then the major was like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. So I'm like, all right, fuck. So I go back to Camp Taji, and I have to go see the colonel up at the med station. So I go in there, and he's like, oh, how's everything going? And when I was over in the green zone, I remember talking to the girl that worked the desk for the doctor, and I asked her specifically, I was like, is everything connected? Like, do they know what I get here when I go back to Taji? Do they know? She's like, no, it's not connected, like, at all. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go back and I lied to this Fulberg colonel's face. He's like, how's everything? You good? I'm like, man, I really could use some more of those Percocets you wrote me. And he like slow rolled me. He's like, all right, so when's the last time you had one? And I was like, oh, the script you wrote for me when I left. And he's like, okay, well, it says here that you got some as soon as you got there and you went to the ER. And I was like, oh, that's right, I did. So that was the last time. He goes, well, you didn't get any from the major? And I was like, well, I had those, but then those got stolen. And he just like kept doing that. And then he stopped and like very calmly, he was like, do you have any idea how much trouble you can get into lying to a full bird fucking Carl, and it just starts laying into me. So the next thing I know, I'm in the chow hall later that day, and people are start coming to me. They're like, "You're Livingston? I can't get my medicine." Like, the whole base was shut down. They wouldn't write them for anybody.
Who ratted you out?
Huh?
Someone ratted you out?
No, the full bird. I don't know. Just because I had
your
got,
name get out though. Like, how did they know it was you?
I mean, all the nurses, everybody in there. Once he starts screaming, you know, you don't usually hear a full bird colonel screaming.
Yeah.
Usually you're hearing first sergeant and sergeant majors, all that, but not officers.
Damn, it's crazy.
Yeah. So unfortunately, like, there's a lot in my military career I am proud of, but unfortunately it ended like that.
Yeah.
And so
Is that the end?
I got back. I lasted about a year after we got back from deployment. But when I came back from deployment is when shit got really bad. So within the first couple months, I had this crippling opiate addiction. My squad leader, who is somebody that, like, if I was going to describe to y'all what the perfect American soldier is, you know, the quintessential, this is what it looks like. Sergeant Franklin was that to me. Just a dude I'd give my life for. I know he would have done the same for me. Just a great dude. And we got back from deployment, and he was a Patriots fan. I'm a Steelers fan. And so
He's a good guy.
he was from up here too. Now I'm just realizing that. Worcester?
Yeah.
Worcester up here?
I knocked out a kid from Worcester one time, but yeah, I know the town.
So they're
My pinky doing it.
it's all crooked too.
Yeah.
So they happened to be playing each other, and I had texted, we were texting back and forth, talking shit, and then I showed up to formation the next morning and found out that he had found out his wife had been cheating on him on deployment, emptied a clip on her, turned the gun on himself with his children in the house.
Oh man.
And bro, like that leveled me. Like, I could not believe it. And then very shortly after that, you know, if you ever when you see the documentary, I talk about a lot of my military stuff, but my best friend in the world, he had hung around me for so long and watched me do drugs.
Yeah.
And I feel like he became desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And so he ended up going to another base, and whoever he was partying with didn't tell him you can't mix Xanax and opiates. So he laid down for a nap, never woke up again.
Jeez.
And then my other very good friend, he had a pill problem, this and that. He went home on leave. You come back, you got more money than you've ever had. Then they give you leave. He goes home on leave, and they found him passed out on his kitchen floor next to his mother, who was dead from blunt force trauma to the head. He had accidentally killed his mom.
Jesus.
I don't know exactly, but that's what she died from, and he's doing life in prison now. But like that,
Accidentally?
yeah, he was fucked up on pills and alcohol, and didn't, you know, I don't know if he struck. I don't know what he did, but that was like, people think the fucked up shit happens like over there, but it was more fucked up when we got back.
Yeah.
And watching the wheels fall off for everybody.
I watched one of my kids. He's actually a wrestler. This kid, George Hernandez. He's a combat and killer. I throw training with him. Going through training, he was one of the toughest kids like on our team. Big giant Mexican kid. Grew up like hard life growing up. Like he talks about stories, telling me stories about like surviving, like fighting for food and shit for him and his brother. And you know, his brother ended up joining, so he joined to follow his brother to be a combat controller, made it through training. Always looked up to this kid, great kid. Was a really good wrestler. So actually, while we were in, he would start wrestling. He wrestled for the Air Force. He would go to the Air Force Academy. They had like an enlisted program and compete from service to service in wrestling. He did that. And then he deployed to Afghanistan. So when he was in Afghanistan, that's the last time I saw him. So I came out there to check them out. Like, you know, my team checked their team out of there. And we would do some training while we were out there. And it was the last time we rolled, and I tapped him out. And that's no big deal, but got him in the China. Yeah, got him in the China too. But anyways, when we both were home at the same time, actually, it was actually New Year's. He was same thing, kind of started falling off. He started drinking. A couple of times I saw him before he went there. He started drinking. When he was growing up, before he was 21, he never drank a sip of alcohol at all. And then, you know, we talked about this, like the military culture. Drinking is like a big thing with the military. And I'd see him out, like say I was on a training trip and he's out in that same area. I see him kind of getting pretty drunk and or whatever. So Nashville, he was up there, a whole bunch of people partying super hard. And at the end of the night, it was like, you know, there's these shuttles that take you back to your hotel. He was going on the shuttle, like, oh, take me back. And he's really like funny. He's probably getting like amusing like a whole bunch of people, like a crowd of people. And it was like the wrong shuttle. The guy's like, we're not going, you're not going. He wouldn't get off the bus. So the guy closed the door on him. He's like drunk and whatever. Falls down. The bus ran him over.
Oh my God.
And I lost him. So it's crazy. I could see how that could happen with him because he's like one of those like life of the party. Like one of those people, if you meet him, like it's like you don't forget who this guy is. You meet him one time and you do not forget who this person is. But unfortunately, it's like when they did like the autopsies, they found like drugs and alcohol in him. He's partying on New Year's. So it's like nobody, like he didn't get like the honor and the respect from like the military career field and the military and the Air Force because he was partying. But like the reason why he was probably partying is because the shit that, was going on when he was overseas, all the shit, he was dealing with and his upbringing. Like the reason why he was such a good wrestler is because he didn't have parents really. And his wrestling coach was like adopted him while he was in like middle school or something. So it's like it was just it's like we were talking about like those things in the military, all that shit is. I see more people struggle way more coming on. I'll give you another story like firsthand while I was in is like we were about to deploy, and the guy who was in charge of like he's going to be JAG 01, which means you're the head JTAC in country in Afghanistan. He was about to push out with us. And, he was a senior leadership, great guy. We show up you have a little break like for 2 weeks before you deploy, and then you come back and you get on a bus and you go to Afghanistan. And he didn't show up. But like, what the fuck? This guy's supposed to be the number one JTAC in Afghanistan. Where's he at? They find him in his room, just like bottle, like cutting his wrist. You know what I mean? So obviously they saved him. But a couple of years later, in his Chris Ross ended up, taking his life. Another thing, same deployment, we come back, and this guy he wasn't even a combat controller, but he was one of our support guys. He was a radio in charge of a radio shop. Same thing, just like mental issues. He took his whole family and his wife and then killed himself. All in like back-to-back shine. So it was like, that's like one thing, that's what really pushed me back. All that shit was happening to me, right. And that's what kind of pushed me back into martial arts because I don't think it was the actual deployment for me that was really bad. It was what it was doing to other people around me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it was crazy time. So, yeah.
Dude, it's fucked up. Like when I was having my issues, we were probably back from deployment for like 6 months. And I went to my first sergeant and was like, I have a problem. Like I need help. And I knew the writing was on the wall. I was going to get in trouble. I was going to get kicked out. And so they sent me to a 30-day treatment center. It was the first one I ever went to, Laurel Ridge. And I'm in there. I'm not even there for 2 days. Like if you're gonna kick opiates, it takes 4 days, 7 days, somewhere like right in there. I'm 2 days right in the middle of trying to get out of this. They show back up and say that we're going out to the field, and I have to come back.
Yeah.
So we go back. I go in front of the first sergeant. I'm like, I'm in withdrawal. Like I need help. Like, I'm not even done detoxing. And he goes, all right, well, we leave on Monday morning. He goes, what I want you to do is I want you to take the weekend, think about it, see how you feel, and we'll decide on Monday if you want to go to the field or back to treatment. I was like, first sergeant, as soon as you release me, I'm going to go get high. Like, I need to go back. He's like, take the weekend, like this and that. And so Monday morning, I go back in there, and I was like, first sergeant, I can't go. Like, I really need help. And he goes, sounds like you need a piss test. And they took me in and piss tested. That was my second failed one. Yeah. They kicked me out.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what? And then now what? Because the culture in the military is, like, once you're out, life's over. There's no life after the military. I'm not slighting the military. I would do it all over again in a fucking heartbeat. There's nothing more in this world I'm more proud of than calling myself a veteran and stuff like that. But it's fucked up when you start realizing, like, essentially, at least on I wasn't a Ranger or anything like that, but you're a number.
You're a number, and they don't look like you. You're a number, but they don't look at you as like a person. They hold you to a different standard. They hold you. It's acceptable for a normal person to go get help and be let back to work, and because they deal with their issues. But it's not acceptable for a soldier to do that.
Right.
As soon as, like you said, like, and for us, why in special operations, especially, we have all we do deployments every year. I mean, every other year, whatever it is. And if you go into and you talk to a psych doc, you flag yourself and for injuries or for so we hide our injuries. I think that's because our thing is we want to go work. That's what we were built to do. That's our job. So our whole mentality is just get the mission done, cover up, hide what's really wrong with you. Don't tell them what's going wrong with you, and just be able to deploy. And you do that 6 times in a row, never deal with any of those issues, and then you start having this stuff happen to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And so I was at Fort Hood. That's what brought me to Texas originally. I don't know if you guys remember the colonel that went crazy and started shooting people.
Yeah.
And he was a paraplegic.
Yeah.
So that's the doctor we go see that deems us okay to deploy. And so while we were on deployment, that's what happened.
Jesus.
And so like coming to the realization, you're sitting over in Iraq and like, holy shit, I was just at that dude's desk talking to him, and he's the one that signed up. I'm faking. I'm like, I'm not injured, but that's who signed my shit off to go.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. It was very scary.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it just kind of goes back to leadership because, like, you know, like you're probably at a unit, your first sergeant, like horrible leader. Probably shouldn't have.
Hopefully, he's not watching.
Yeah.
that.
We also got from your squadron too. I was thinking about. You know, he was a radio guy that he died on a motorcycle accident. I think drunk driver. Do you remember that? Right when I came back from right when I came back from Afghanistan, I worked with that guy all the time because he was a radio guy and I was a radio guy, and we were like chilling together all the time. And then we came back from deployment, and then he was like partying or something like that, and he crashed his motorcycle.
It happens. It really does happen a lot.
A lot.
Guys just get so stressed out and they like just make stupid decisions, and then they just fucking they go ham just like how they go ham in their training. They go ham in their fucking partying. Yeah, you know.
You as a civilian never haven't been in the military. Like, what is it like hearing us talk about this? Like, what does that make you think as just an American citizen?
I feel like there could definitely be. I mean, try to look at anything that's government run and think it's like smooth. Like, go to the DMV. Go to the DMV.
Period. That's it. That's all you needed to say.
When you have, like, it's annoying registering your car, it's annoying getting your license, anything that you have to do that's run by the government, it's not ideal. I think we've proven in the military is like a big part of that. And so, like, why would the military be any different?
Right.
Any business they run, it runs inefficient. I'm not like an anti-government guy, you know, just leaving it back.
It's communism within our.
I didn't say that. I just think it's
necessary, though.
It's you know, like, it's just unfortunate that the collateral damage is to people's lives, you know. Right. So I think just like our prison system, our military, you know, can all use overhauls, but it's not going to be a quick change,
right? You know. Well, I didn't want to end the podcast on sad or anything like that, but what I want to say to you guys, man, is you guys, this weekend has been these couple days have been a dream come true for me, man. I cannot thank you guys enough for allowing us to come in here, being so open, you know what I mean? Like, truly speaks volume about you guys. Like, you guys are, dude, getting emotional, getting choked up, man. Like, seriously, like, I can't thank you guys enough. Such big fans. We will be supporters of the New England Cartel till the end, man. So thank you guys so much, dude. The way we like to wrap up the podcast, I'd love for the guests to get you guys to know you a little bit personally. So if you would you throw out some I am statements that you feel that let those people know who you truly are?
I am unbreakable. I am a coach. I am Carlos Lozoya.
Let's go.
I am the New England Cartel.
I am a husband. I am a father. I am a coach.
Let's go.
And I'm a brother.
Damn, it's just
brother.
Fight.
All right, fellas.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,